They will tell you that money begins with labor, that it starts with sweat, with toil, with hustle. They will tell you that you must earn your worth, prove your value, bleed to be seen. But they're wrong. Wealth does not begin with work. It begins with belief. Before the first dollar is made, before the first door is opened, before the first sale is closed, belief stands at the gates of abundance and asks one question: do you believe you are worthy of it? Because until that answer is yes, not just spoken, but felt in the marrow of your bones, you will sabotage every opportunity, reject every breakthrough, and build castles that crumble by your own hand. The one belief that builds millions is not found in a paycheck. It is forged in silence, in solitude, in the dark corners of your mind where nobody is watching, and your future self is begging you to believe. You must believe that you are meant for something greater. You must believe when no one sees it in you yet. You must believe before the evidence arrives, because belief is the architect of your reality. It is the seed of fortune, the invisible cause behind every visible effect. All wealth, all of it, is built first in the mind, not in your job, not in your circumstance, not in the opinion of others, but in the quiet, unshakable conviction that says, I will not live this way another day. I will rise, I will win, I will become. Those who change their lives do not wait for permission. They do not wait to be chosen. They choose themselves. They walk into the battlefield of life with belief as their armor and vision as their sword. And make no mistake, this world will test that belief. You will be mocked. You will be doubted. You will be betrayed. You will be told to settle, to shrink, to stay in line, and you must choose over and over to believe anyway, because belief is not a moment. It is a discipline. It is a decision made daily, sometimes hourly, in the face of fear, failure, and fatigue. This is why so few ever build wealth, not because they lack skill or talent or luck, but because they refuse to believe in the one person who can change it all, themselves. The mind is the master key. Your dominant thoughts, repeated with emotion and backed by action, become your world. If you believe you are poor, your subconscious will manufacture poverty. If you believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage love, success, and joy. But if you believe you are rich in potential, that wealth is your birthright, your reality will begin to bend. You will walk differently, speak differently, decide differently. You will stop asking, is this possible? And start declaring, it is done, not because it exists yet, but because you've already seen it, felt it, owned it in the realm of thought, and thought is the forerunner of all things. You do not wait for wealth, you become wealth. You speak like someone who owns their future. You move like someone who carries purpose. You act like someone who knows the clock is ticking and there is no time to waste playing small. Because you know now, belief is not fluffy. It is force. It is fire. It is the code that unlocks the vault. Every man or woman who has ever transformed their life did it the same way, by anchoring to a belief that refused to die, not when they were broke, not when they were rejected, not when they failed 10 times in a row. They held the vision. They fed the belief. They trained their minds like warriors. You must do the same, because money doesn't come to the desperate. It comes to the certain, to those who walk into rooms like they belong, to those who sit at empty tables and say, if the seat isn't here yet, I'll build the chair myself. This is not about arrogance, it is about alignment. When your belief matches your destiny, the universe begins to respond. Doors open, opportunities appear. People are drawn to your conviction like moths to flame, because belief is magnetic, and wealth is its shadow. You've been taught to doubt, to shrink, to wait. But no more. This is your awakening. This is the moment you stop looking outside for the treasure and realize the map has always been in your mind. Train it, feed it, guard it. You only need one belief to change everything. The belief that you were never meant to be average, that you were always meant to build, to rise, to lead, and that wealth is not something you chase, it is something you become, believe, and never stop. But belief alone is not enough. It is the foundation, yes, but a foundation without action is a palace built in the sky. The bridge between belief and reality is motion. You must move in the direction of your belief. You must act as if it is already yours, not one day, not when you feel ready. Now, the world does not reward the man who waits. It rewards the man who moves with intention, who walks with the quiet confidence of someone who has seen the end before the beginning, who gets up when it's hard, who works when it's boring, who builds when there's no applause. That is how belief becomes real, because belief without discipline is delusion, and discipline is the tool that forges invisible thoughts into visible empires. The wealthy understand this. They do not just dream, they decide. They wake before the world stirs. They organize their thoughts. They master their hours. They control their focus like a sculptor controls a chisel, carving fortune from the marble of time. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect. It is the refusal to betray your future self for a moment's comfort. It is choosing power over pleasure, purpose over distraction, creation over consumption. Every time you show up, when you could have stayed in bed, you are casting a vote for your future wealth. Every time you invest instead of spend, you are voting. Every time you speak as if your dream is real, walk like it's already done, think like a person of vision, you are voting. And make no mistake, the universe is watching, not with eyes, but with response, because belief, when backed by discipline, becomes a frequency. It becomes a signal you broadcast. It becomes the language you speak in every step, every deal, every handshake. And people can feel it. You felt it before. When someone enters the room and doesn't have to say a word, but you know they own themselves. They're not guessing. They're not trying to impress. They've already decided who they are. That power isn't luck. It isn't charm. It's clarity. Clarity born from belief, made manifest through action. And here is the truth. If you are unclear, it's not because you lack ability, it's because you haven't made a decision. The wealthy decide. They don't dabble. They commit. They say, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I will not accept. They do not entertain distraction. They do not negotiate with laziness. They do not allow doubt to run unchecked in their minds, because doubt kills more dreams than failure ever could. And clarity is the antidote. You get clear by choosing. You get clear by acting. You get clear by doing the work over and over until what was once fog becomes fire. That fire must be fed with focus, with hunger, with urgency. You cannot be casual about wealth and expect it to arrive. You cannot whisper to your future and expect it to roar back. You must declare it daily with your habits, your words, your energy. This is not a game for the faint of heart. This is war, a war between your old self and the self you are becoming, and you must fight for your new identity like your life depends on it, because it does. Every breakthrough you crave, freedom, security, abundance, sits on the other side of your current behavior. You don't need to wish harder. You need to become bolder. You need to wake up and ask, what would the wealthy version of me do today? How would they speak? What would they tolerate? What would they walk away from? What would they invest in? And then do that, be that, think that. Because identity is not fixed, it's forged. Forged in fire, forged in decisions, forged in the furnace of belief-backed behavior. That is the one belief that builds millions. Not just that you are meant for wealth, but that you are already becoming wealth with every move you make. You don't chase it, you create it. And it starts with the discipline to show up even when no one is watching, especially then. This is the test, and the world gives to those who pass. And yet belief alone is not the finish line, it is the fire that lights the path. You must now walk that path, because the universe does not reward the one who only dreams, but the one who acts on the dream like it's already been written in stone. Belief without action is fantasy. But belief fused with action becomes destiny. So act like it's yours. Walk like you've already won. Decide like the world depends on it, because your world does. This is the moment where belief must marry discipline, where the inner fire must forge a new identity, not based on what you've done, but who you've decided to become. Because here's the truth no one tells you. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself in your own mind. If you believe you are small, you will shrink in the face of challenge. If you believe you are undeserving, you will quietly sabotage your blessings. But if you believe you are inevitable, you will rise. Over and over, no matter how many times you fall. You don't need more followers, more praise, more motivation. You need a standard, a non-negotiable way of living that declares, I do not beg for greatness, I expect it, I train for it, I become it daily. Because that's what the greats do. Not once, not sometimes, always. They outbelieve, outlast, and outdiscipline everyone around them. They choose consistency over comfort, purpose over popularity, vision over validation. You don't build millions by chasing approval. You build it by walking alone when no one claps, when no one understands, when no one sees, and still showing up like a giant. Why? Because belief doesn't need applause. It creates its own rhythm, its own thunder, its own gravity. And soon the world will hear it too. But don't wait for that. Become it before they see it. This is your test, not of skill, but of identity. Will you shrink to match the world's low expectations? Or will you rise to match the future you've already claimed in your mind? You were born to rise, not because the world says so, because you say so. Speak it, stand in it, sacrifice for it, and most of all, build for it. The one belief that builds millions is not passive. It is practiced. It is repeated. It is protected. Like the sacred seed of a life yet to bloom, protect it from doubt, from toxic voices, from every whisper that says, who do you think you are? You are the one who decides. You are the one who builds. You are the one who rises. Because you were not born to be average. You were born to become inevitable. But listen carefully. Even after you've believed, even after you've acted, even after you've built the first pieces of your new life, you will still hear that whisper, that subtle voice in the dark that says, who do you think you are? That is the final gate. Not the world, not the market, not the competition, but that voice. Because if belief builds millions, doubt destroys them. And the final test isn't whether you can start. It's whether you can continue when your old identity comes to reclaim you. You will face days when the evidence of your vision is nowhere to be found. Days when you've poured your energy into the fire and nothing rises from the ashes. Days when the people you thought would support you disappear. Days when you question everything you once knew for sure. And that's when most people quit. Not because they lacked vision, not because they lacked talent, but because they couldn't carry the weight of invisible progress. But you are not most people. You do not abandon the house just because the roof isn't on yet. You do not uproot the seed just because the sprout hasn't broken the soil. You stay in the fight. You stand in the storm. You believe again. Because belief is not a one-time decision, it is a daily resurrection. Every morning you wake up, you declare your vision again. Every setback you face, you recommit to the path. Every time you fall, you rise, not weaker, but wiser. And that wisdom compounds. It becomes your foundation. It becomes your voice. It becomes your rhythm. Until one day, without warning, the things you once had to force become automatic. Discipline becomes desire. Focus becomes second nature, confidence becomes unshakable, and you look back on the old version of yourself not with shame, but with gratitude, because that version of you, the one that started with nothing but belief, had the courage to begin. That version of you walked into uncertainty, stood in the furnace, and emerged unburned, not because the fire stopped, but because you became the flame. You no longer chase abundance from a place of lack. You move toward wealth from a place of power, because you understand it was never about the money. It was about becoming someone who could handle it, someone who could manage it, protect it, multiply it, use it for good. And now that person is you. You don't just believe you are wealthy. You believe you are a creator of wealth, a commander of discipline, a leader of vision, a master of your mind, and the world takes notice. Not because of what you say, but because of what you radiate. Clarity, conviction, calm power. You no longer fear what's ahead because you've made peace with what's within. You no longer ask for shortcuts because you are the path. You no longer beg the world to see your value because you've already claimed it. You believe fully, finally, and forever. And in that belief, you've built something greater than millions. You've built a new reality. You've built a new identity. You've built yourself. And no one can take that from you. So now let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them watch. You've got work to do. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. The one belief that builds millions is not just the belief in wealth. It is the belief that you are the one who was meant to build it. So go, stand tall, speak boldly, move like the outcome is already written, because it is. And it's been waiting for you to believe.